So, you're in the world of the US Department of Defense. You've definitely heard of CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. Now, we all know it's absolutely critical for protecting sensitive information, but let's be honest, for most people, it feels like trying to climb a mountain of just impossible requirements. Today, we're going to dig into why it's so challenging and take a look at a whole new way of thinking that's designed to finally make it all make sense.
Does that sound familiar? I bet it does. For so many organizations, these are the exact words they use to describe their CMMC journey. It's this dense, frustrating process, just filled with technical jargon and incredibly high stakes. Feeling overwhelmed by the sheer scale of it all? Yeah, you are not alone.
And you know, this confusion, it creates the perfect environment for some pretty misleading information to spread like wildfire. You've got vendors out there promising these magical quick-fix certifications in just a few days. But the reality? Proper implementation is way more involved and, requires a much deeper understanding than that. And what happens when you follow that kind of bad advice? Or make just one mistake on a critical step like scoping, defining the boundaries of your assessment? Well, the consequences can be severe. A single scoping error can literally cause the entire assessment to fail. All that work, just gone. And that leads to the ultimate pain point, doesn't it? It's not just about failing an assessment, it's about the wasted time, the wasted money, and that immense frustration of having to go all the way back to square one. The stakes are just incredibly high. It's no joke. So how do we get off this crazy merry-go-round of confusion and failure? Well, the good news is, new training methods are popping up that offer a radically different path. The whole goal is to transform CMMC from this constant struggle into a process you can actually manage.
And that's the key takeaway here. There is a better way to navigate this process. A way to avoid the usual headaches, the guesswork, and that constant fear of failure. It's all about completely shifting the approach to how we learn this stuff.
So check this out. One of these new approaches blends the creative, innovative style of Silicon Valley with some seriously deep industry expertise. A core principle here, sticking strictly to the official Department of Defense guidance. No fluff, just the facts. And then delivering it all in a highly engaging, almost movie-like video format. And this really shows you the huge shift happening in technical training. The goal is to get away from these long, tedious PDFs and dry theoretical text. Instead, we're moving toward methods that use captivating visuals and practical, real-world examples. The focus is on retention for true mastery, not just memorizing facts for a test you'll forget a week later. So what's the secret sauce? How does this kind of learning transformation actually happen? Let's dive into some of the specific methods that make these modern training approaches so incredibly effective. Okay, first up is a powerful technique called mind map mastery. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's a game changer. You take a complex technical CMMC control and communicate the whole thing in a single, simple image. These visual stories are designed to stick in your brain way longer than just words on a page ever could. Now, you pair those amazing visuals with expert dialogue. Imagine listening in as two specialists discuss not just the theory, but how to actually implement it. They talk about how to get ahead of an assessor's objections and what common pitfalls to avoid. This isn't just learning, it's strategic preparation for the real world and for those high-stakes exams like the CMMC Certified Assessor or CCA certification. And this really gets to the heart of what makes training effective. It has to be guided by true industry veterans. We're talking about practical guidance that comes from, say, 33 years of real-world experience. That's a perspective you are just not going to find in any textbook. Here's a perfect example of what I mean. Anyone can read you the definition of a control like shared resource pools, but effective training connects it directly to modern, complex cybersecurity threats that you've actually heard of, like Meltdown and Spectre. That's how you build true resilience, not just check off a compliance box. Okay. So the method is smart, but what about the content itself? A truly great training program shouldn't just skim the basics. It needs to be a complete toolkit, designed to demystify the entire CMMC process from A to Z. I mean, just to give you an idea of the depth we're talking about, a really comprehensive video library might have something like 440 videos. Think about that. Dedicating 50 videos just to scoping, and over 100 to unpacking the details of each control, that is the level of detail that real mastery demands.
So, a program this thorough should help you master all the toughest parts of CMMC, right? Things like solving that scoping dilemma once and for all, understanding the real assessment process so you can avoid the scammers, and even learning how to group controls to save time and money. Oh, and mastering the strict code of professional conduct from the Cyber AB. It covers the whole shebang.
So here's the bottom line. The end goal here isn't just to pass an assessment. It's to become a true expert in your field. It's about getting a definitive edge over your competition.
And it all comes back to this one core philosophy. This is about deep learning and long-term retention. It's about understanding the why behind every single control, so you can apply that knowledge with confidence in any situation long after the training is done. And let's be crystal clear, this kind of in-depth knowledge is indispensable for everyone in the CMMC ecosystem. It doesn't matter if you're an organization seeking compliance, an OSC, an assessor studying for your certification, or a consultant guiding clients. This level of practical detail is what gives you a real, tangible advantage.
So look, CMMC is going to keep evolving. That means the way we learn about it has to evolve too. With these new methods that are all about clarity and deep understanding, the goal is no longer just about compliance. It's about achieving true cybersecurity confidence. So the only question left is, are you ready to be one step ahead?